Until now, we have had our share of ethical dilemmas in the research, and we share a few of these and how we address them. My fellow classmates, here's an example for you how to address this dilemma. The question is, having a colleague ask whether a student could publish the student's own data without the colleague's name on the article. This colleague was an advisor for the student. Then, how to address this dilemma? The APA can answer us. That is, if a person has gathered and analyzed the data, his or her name should appear on the publication. Although the resolution of this issue differs among fields, our own view is that an individual should be an author if he or she provides a substantial contribution to an article. In books, we can have more examples to reference. Don't forget it. Okay, now let's move to the last part. While conducting your qualitative study, it's essential to bear in mind that the necessary permissions you must get when incorporating content borrowed from external sources. The APA's publication manual outlines the types of materials you may borrow for your study that requires letters of permissions from authors or from publishers. As for figures and tables that are direct preference from other authors, require letters for permission. When you use 3 or fewer figures of tables from a journal article or book chapter, or 5 or few figures of tables from a whole book, you do not need written permissions. But if your material does require written permission from authors or publishers, you need to put below the figure or table a comment as shown here. Publishers may require a variation on this template, but it's a good model to use for drafts before you seek the exact language the publisher would like you to use. And numeric data that are replicated exactly from another source require permission. However, when you reanalyze data to produce new numbers, obtaining permission is not necessary. As for the data that borrowed from another source as a long quotation, the APA requires permission when the text exceeds 400 words or a series of texts is just totally more than 800 words. You need to check with the particular copyright holder for requirements. Finally, text and scale items, questionnaires, and veneers require permission from authors and publishers. This is especially important when dealing with copyright and commercially produced materials. Overall, to be a qualitative researcher, I think it's essential to recognize potential ethical challenges that could emerge within your project and formulate methods or approaches to deal with these ethical concerns. The first element in this area is to be aware of the IRB procedures for your institution or company. These provisions protect the human rights of individuals who participated in your study. You will need to apply for permission to proceed with your participants and have them complete informed consent forms, giving your permission. Certain provisions need to be adjusted in these consent letters. Also, you need to anticipate the ethical issues your project might raise and actively put in place approaches for addressing them. Ethical issues arise before the study begins, during data collection, during data analysis, during the interpretation of data, and when publishing your study. Also remember that permissions will be required for using borrowed material from other authors. And guidance and guidelines exist for how to handle these issues. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your listening.